Da 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 da.
I love creating these videos because it lets me pause and reflect on what we did on Spotlight during the past year and where the segment is headed. And it's a nice chance to thank the people who are helping us create the segment. Hello to everyone at the Glenn and Carol Pearsall Adirondack Foundation. And thanks for watching this short video summary showing where the Spotlight shone during the past 12 months. Well, it's shown on Ben Stiller, to name one person.
What I would hope is that when people are watching it who do know the facts, that they feel like, oh yeah, we got that right.
I did not expect to get this interview, and right up until the week before it happened, it looked like I was not going to get the interview. And after I'd given his publicist several email messages, I had basically determined I was never going to get the interview. But when it suddenly did happen, I was so happy to not only add another household name to the stars who shine on Spotlight, but also the segment became an Adirondack story we were telling, how North Country residents helped director Ben Stiller recreate the events of the prison escape.
I would explain to them that we wanted to tell this story in a real way, and I found everybody really opened up, and I feel that that helped the project so much.
It's real. Ben is using real people, a lot of real people that were participated in it or worked in corrections or law enforcement.
Ben Stiller's miniseries is not the only high-profile drama getting help from North Country residents. The Adirondack folk opera Promised Land is also getting a lot of input from people right here in the North Country, so we in the North Country can tell our own story. The history of the Timbuktu settlement in North Elba is a slice of America's past that composer Glenn McClure wants to share with the Adirondacks and with the rest of the country. We produced a series of 4 spotlight pieces on the creation of the opera, a work still in progress.
Come up to Timbuktu, everything you wanted is waiting for you. Come up to Timbuktu, everything you wanted is waiting for you. Come up to Timbuktu, everything you wanted is waiting for you.
My favorite piece showed how school kids in Lake Placid and community members are contributing their own ideas to help this opera get told in a way that is relevant to the people of the Adirondacks. Adirondack history told and sung by Adirondack residents, bound for stages in the North Country, and who knows what major stages might eventually host this Adirondack opera.
I believe it would have a place anywhere in this country, at the Kennedy Center, at Carnegie Hall.
Just think of the potential audiences who might be moved by our history, with its diversity and voting rights, issues that move far beyond the blue line. And while we're on the subject of Adirondack history moving North Country residents and wider audiences, author Russell Banks reflected on his novel, Cloud Splitter, about John Brown and his family, and how the book is being developed as a mini-series for television. On television, PBS stations across the country celebrated the legacy of Mr. Rogers with a national screening of Won't You Be My Neighbor. And our Adirondack audience got a bonus that night with our exclusive interview with Francois Clemens, the neighborhood police officer.
How you doing, Fred?
Good, France. I wanted my friends to see you in your uniform.
The only PBS station he accepted an interview with was ours, thanks to our previous rapport with him. So we took a national celebration that night and made it relevant to people close to home. And the Pearsall Foundation was right there with us that night, showing your support of our Spotlight segments. And you were with us in Albany, too, when we won an award from the New York State Broadcasters Association for a Spotlight special about Fulton Friar, another story combining the arts with Adirondack history, showing how history will now help educate people in a museum setting. I was proud to thank the Pearsall Foundation from the podium. And you were with us in Iowa this year, too. Our archival Spotlight story about a Mohawk ceramic artist was screened for 6 months at the University of Northern Iowa Museum, spreading our Adirondack pride to the Midwest. We love that. We love the archive we're building, too. These days, you can see archival interviews with Jean Stapleton talking for hours about her time on All in the Family, and Mary Tyler Moore talking about the shows she helped create. You can find that on YouTube. Here in the Adirondacks, Spotlight is building an archive of artists and performers. When I interviewed Angela Brown to celebrate 25 years of Hill and Hollow music, we had archival clips of the visiting musicians from several different years to illustrate that interview. And these clips were thanks in great part to you. You are helping us construct an archive that could be useful for future generations. And in the present, I like the little gems too that we uncovered this year, like the story about the two photographers. One lives in the North Country and takes photos of country scenes, and his friend lives among the buildings in Albany and likes urban images. This story involved a new collaboration with an art gallery in AuSable Forks. You'll find these stories in the Spotlight section of mountainlake.org. We also made special web pages just for the Fulton Friar Half Hour and the Adirondack Folk Opera. Pages complete with bonus clips and resources. And now, the suspenseful part. Are we ever going to get these stories completed and on the air? We have two stories, one about an Adirondack garden mural and the other about a Broadway actress working with local kids to stage a show. Both stories still have elements in development, elements out of our control, which so far means both stories are still in the works. We'll be following those situations closely. I'm also aiming to interview Valerie Patterson this year to talk about her Ghosts of Saranac paintings. And when that Adirondack folk opera gets professionally staged with costumes and real sets, we would like to be there. And my guess is you will probably want to be there in the audience that night as well. I can't thank you all enough for supporting Spotlight through the years. We're building an archive and a legacy together for the future. And in the present, we're celebrating these wonderful artists who are telling the story of the Adirondacks in their own way. All of us at Mountain Lake PBS give our heartfelt thanks to you, everyone at the Glenn and Carol Pearsall Adirondack Foundation.